Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right, I think we are live now. And hi, guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and we are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And we are talking about binge eating, bulimia, yo yo dieting, overeating, body hate, food obsession, all of the things that keep our lives back from really being who we are and what we're meant to do in this world. And I usually have like, let's go into this topic and let's talk about this today. And we're just going to do something a little bit different today. Like, I don't really have a specific plan for you guys. I simply wanted to be here to hear what you have to say, to hear your insights and your questions, and to absolutely celebrate. I realize I haven't done a good enough job of this. Like, we get to celebrate in our world every single day with seeing people get free. And you see our freedom stories and, our literally hundreds and hundreds of, testimonials and case studies of people who have gotten free. But I don't think I've done a good enough job of really talking about what's going on right now. Because whatever is happening with someone else's freedom, that's what's possible for you. And so I wanted to just pull back the curtain, you guys, and just talk about exactly what's going on for real in our world, because this is what we get to celebrate every day. Like, we solve problems that so much of the world thinks are impossible to solve, that people get told by like medical professionals that there's no way that anything could ever change. Well, this is just who you are. This is your eating disorder. Your eating disorder is who you are. That's just going to be who you are for the rest of your life. It's just not true. It's absolutely, absolutely not true. And so I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what is really happening in our community right now. Not like a freedom story from a year ago, although that's awesome. And you can go and see those. You can go to lydiavideo.com and see like full-length case studies and interviews of people who've like really gotten free from this after so long. But I wanted to let you guys know just what we get to enjoy every single day. And first, I want to celebrate. I'm going to be super anonymous, of course. These are either made up new names, or I'll just use like made up initials, or just so you know that they're all different people that I'm talking about. But I wanted to just give you a glimpse of really what's possible for your life, because why not you? Why not have it be you? So I'll just first share my own update. Like, you guys, there are so many people in this world that have like a glimpse of, oh, well, maybe this is the way and maybe this is the right diet. And then, and I've totally done this before in my life. They get on their high horse of like, all right, I found the cure and everybody, should do it. And then you've got people that are like following up with you and there's all this accountability and like, let's be accountability buddies. And then everyone just crashes and burns because it wasn't something that was permanent and lasting. And I honestly, for so many years, and I struggled with this for years and years and years with my eating disorder. I mean, we went from starvation to binge eating to bulimia to more bulimia. And what it was really about is just my life getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I couldn't do anything and be present in my life. I couldn't enjoy anything. I couldn't eat anything without judgment or guilt or morality around it. I couldn't be present with my daughter. I was thinking about food all the time. I couldn't be present in my relationship. I was obsessed with my body. I just saw myself as this never-ending project where it was better to be dead than to not be the absolute thinnest and leanest possible. And my true desire, like my biggest desire in my whole world and my whole life, was to just be able to eat. I was so hungry all the time, this insatiable hunger where when I would binge, I would just eat like a whole container of peanut butter and tons of things of yogurt. And I would just start, I would go to all of the things that I thought wouldn't do so much damage and like, wouldn't be so bad. So it's like, oh, well, almonds are healthy. So I would just eat like masses of almonds. And then I would, just be so sick from the mass of what I'd eaten. And then I would just lay on the couch and I would just be in pain and judging myself so much, because being in physical pain from how much I'd eaten, what I was really mad about, it's not about the permanent damage to my health, not about, oh, I wonder if it's going to kill me tonight, not about, why I've got to fix this problem. I just had this white hot anger that I couldn't eat more, that this was my night to eat. This was the night that I was letting myself binge. This was the last time that I was ever going to do this. And my body, again, was stopping me from doing what I wanted to do, which was just to eat more. And I would lay there physically in pain until I had a little more room where I could go back. And then I would start making, piece of toast after piece of toast. And well, if I'm going to totally mess up, then I might as well mess up all the way and have what I want, because I'm never going to have it again. I would drink molasses out of the jar, and then I would get frozen bags of cauliflower and microwave them and just eat and eat and eat 3 bags of frozen cauliflower, just masses of food, and then be so angry again that I couldn't eat anymore. And that was my life, and it was miserable. And then, in the morning I would have some more self-control, and I would go for a run, and I would run for 5 miles. And I remember it would hurt my stomach so much because I was so full and my body was so distorted from the night before that I would just run and run, and it would just really hurt my abdomen, my stomach muscles, because I was running with all of this food still in my body, but I was just trying so hard to escape it. And I remember I did so much, I tried to eat all these certain ways so I would have a better metabolism, so I wouldn't gain weight. I remember I tried really, really hard to just put on as much muscle as possible, because I'm well, people with more muscle, they can eat more. Because my whole life became, how can I just eat enough ever to feel satisfied? How can I find some way to eat and eat and eat without gaining any weight, with losing weight at the same time? That was my ultimate dream, to just binge all day, every day, and just get thinner and thinner. And I knew that was insanity, but I still tried for that all the time. There must be some way. Oh, maybe surgery is the way. Oh, well, maybe I just need to do this other crazy thing where all I eat is these 3 things. And oh, well, maybe there are just these foods that I could binge on. Okay, so, there are these foods that people say that I remember I did this, another just crazy diet way of eating, where I remember him saying in the book, he was during the day, you've got unlimited, and I'll just, say it was a kind of food. I won't name the kind of food. But he's the reason that I give people unlimited this is because nobody overeats that. And I just remember thinking watch me, and I was binging on the very thing that he said that nobody ever overeats. That's why you get unlimited of it. I'm well, if I have unlimited of it right now, and that's what I'm going to binge on. I just made myself sick with binging on that. And it made me feel so broken and so abnormal. And that was my everyday. I had no idea how I would ever escape it. And then with the same principles that we've now taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world, that have gotten me free, that have gotten them free. I'm so done and free. And I have been for years. I have absolutely no fear of the eating disorder, the binge eating coming back. And if I felt out of integrity at all, if I felt oh man, I really couldn't or shouldn't say that, I wouldn't say it here on a live feed if I had any doubt in that. But the fact is I have zero fear of that coming back, because I know exactly why it happened. I know exactly how I ended it. And I don't think about food. I don't think about my body. I'm at my set point weight. It is absolutely effortless to maintain. I went on a lovely hike out in a park with my family yesterday. I had no idea when we were going to eat that night. I was just there in the moment and enjoying. Food didn't even cross my mind once. You can go the whole day without really thinking about food, except oh man, I'm hungry, I should eat something. Oh, it's been too long. It's so easy. It's so easy. And it's funny because I actually finally have what I wanted, but not in an eating disordered way, because I can eat anytime I want and whatever I want, and I can eat and just feel totally satisfied. satisfied to the point where it's like eating more food just sounds so ridiculous. And then I can just move on with my day and I can feel comfortable in my own body. And it's just such incredible peace that really goes beyond what is what is easy to realize when you're in it. Like freedom is something that is so hard to even imagine how wonderful it is until you get there. And so I wanted to celebrate like our wonderful community. So this is happening like right now. Like these are like people that we are coaching right now in this moment, like during COVID-19, during quarantine, with ups and downs, with people, losing jobs, like all of that, right? So I want to first celebrate E. Let's call her E. After 44 years of binge eating and doing absolutely everything, like every single diet, everything she could think of, like all of these professionals, like she really had the feeling of like, I spent too many years on this earth. I've been doing this for too long. Like, I really think I'm broken. I'm never going to be fixed. And after just a few weeks of working with her, she is celebrating. She's a completely normal eater. Completely normal eater. She doesn't binge eat anymore. She can just move forward with her day. She can eat something and move on. I want to celebrate, let's call her V. Incredible client that we've been coaching for just a few weeks. Like she, for 25 years, had been struggling with her eating disorder, just like round and round, right? So it's like the anorexia and the bulimia and the binge eating and the food obsession. And she tried again to go back to an inpatient eating disorder treatment center, and they turned her away because they said like, oh, your eating disorder is way too complex. Like it's too complex, like we can't treat you. And yes, that's horrible for like somebody to be turned away because of what an eating disorder actually is. Like she was just being honest about what her eating disorder was instead of like, yes, I fit into this box. Like she was just being authentic because that's just who she is. And what a wonderful thing, because then she started looking for other ways to fix this. Now she's experiencing freedom that she never has in the last 25 years. In 3 days working these principles, she was able to calm her mind around food for the first time ever, 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 ever. Oh, yeah, Marianne, so fun to see you on here. And feel free to say hi, you guys. And of course, I always, have utmost respect for like confidentiality, and we really take the privacy of our clients very seriously. But if you are one of these clients and you want to like share your story in the chat, feel free to do that. So like if we've got any of members of our community on right now, feel free to share your own experience and your own freedom. I'll leave that totally up to you, but I just wanted to celebrate the incredible people in our community. So we have another amazing client. I'm thinking of Kay right now. Let's call her Kay. And for her lifetime, just completely food obsessed, body obsessed, where she was having to control all of her food and her kids' food and her husband's food. And if there was ever any food at work, then she would have to control that as well. Just completely mentally obsessed, where she couldn't focus on anything and she was putting herself behind everything else. And just her confidence was shot because of this. And in just a few weeks of working with her, she not only told us that she is happier than she's ever been in her life, but she was just like, Lydia, you charge way too little for this program. This program should be like twice the investment at least. Like, she's just like, this is not just about food. This is about your whole entire life that we're talking about transforming. And she's free from her eating disorder and like the levels of freedom that she's experiencing. So she's a doctor. And so she has completely changed her approach with her patients. And she is literally changing the world because now she knows what causes eating disorders. And so she's able to, like, she has a lot of kids who are patients, and she's able to educate parents and not start the very things that have perpetuated eating disorders. And so she's changing generations, and she's taking power in her own life, like power in her relationships. And as a mother, she's been through some really hard things. Like her kids have been through some tough stuff. And it's just such a celebration when she's like, you know what? I would have totally binged. That would have been my absolute, what I would have for sure done on a day that is so hard like this, and I didn't even think of binging. It was not even a thing. Like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, that is a level of freedom that we are talking about here. I want to celebrate after 17 years of an eating disorder and going through so many really difficult like health issues. Like, she just was like, I just want to know, like, with everything else going on with my health and all of these difficult things happening, I just want to know that I can have hope in one area of my life. I want to be able to, at least with food, know that I'm not hurting myself anymore. And after 17 years of an eating disorder, after just a few weeks of working with her, I think maybe 4 weeks or so, like, it's doesn't have an eating disorder, just complete freedom. And she's such a cool person. Like, she has such incredible gifts. Like, she's this amazing singer. She has this voice that makes people just like cry because they're so like connected when they hear her voice. Like, she's so incredibly positive. Like, she sent these beautiful like handmade cards to like myself and coaches on our team, just with gratitude for after 17 years being free from her eating disorder. Like, these are the people that we have in our community, you guys. Like, everybody in our community is so incredibly grateful and just really cool people. Like, the coolest people get eating disorders, right? And our program is by invitation only, so we really don't invite anyone that isn't just so ready to show up and do the work and make this transformation in their life. And people do show up in such an amazing way. And what's fun is, like, in our community, you're surrounded by people that not only get it, and for the first time in your life, like, you don't at all feel alone, but you're surrounded by people that are willing to work and fight for their lives and their freedom just as hard as you are. And so it's just this incredible up-leveling. Like, we've seen best friends come out of this program, because it's just like everyone is just so incredibly connected, and they're just such cool people. Have a grad who actually reached out to me the other day, and she's like, and she's very successful, like very just like high up in her organization in the corporate world, like just excellence in everything that she's done. And she just had this eating disorder for such a long time, and she was just absolutely in secrecy and in shame about it. And she's like, Lydia, that community was the first time that I'd ever felt love and understanding from a community of people who actually understood me. She's like, there's no place on earth like this community. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And then C, let's call her C. Um, oh, just so fun. Like, she's this super go-getter, busy woman. Like, she owns 2 different businesses, and she's always racing back and forth, and she's always helping others, and she's taking care of her family, and she's like nursing like her dog that's like has an autoimmune disorder, and she's just like just taking care of animals and taking care of people, and just go go go. And she's just like, so many people are depending on me. I cannot let this eating disorder break down my life. I cannot have an emotional breakdown because of this. And for her, like, since she was a young teenager, she had struggled with, anorexia, and then it went into binge eating, and she just had never been able to actually rest. And she was losing so much sleep because she would come home after helping everyone else and racing around and then just binge. And the binging would just keep her up so late, and then it would start over the next day. And in just a couple of weeks of working with her, like, yes, of course, beautiful, her eating disorder is done after like a lifetime of struggling. But then also, being able to come home at night after helping so many people and rest. Like, not only get a full night's sleep, but to be able to be present with like her dog that she loves, and to be able to actually like rest and read a book. Like, she never got to rest before, because every spare moment that she had was taken by her eating disorder, and she like gets that rest back now. It's such an amazing thing. Let's call her B, our next wonderful client that we're celebrating. Like, just such a rock star. Like, she's this awesome scientist, and she is a cyclist, and she is just such a cool person. And it's so fun because, after seeing like, whoa, she had this realization, like, whoa, I have an eating disorder. Like, I have things to do in life. Like, let's get this done right away. And so she joined our community, she got the principles that she needed, she was able to have this phenomenal freedom from her eating disorder very quickly. And she's getting like the levels of freedom that she's getting to experience now. She's having all of these creative ideas about like her career path and her business because her brain can actually relax now and have space because it's not under all the stress and worry of her eating disorder. And so she is like on this amazing career path because she was able to be creative about it. And she's really taking a stand for herself and like, these opportunities in her workplace because she can now. Like she sees her own worth and she's changing the world because like who she is gets to be out in the world. And again, just so many celebrations of like, wow, today was really hard. I would have binged before. And now I'm just going to like chill out and like do some photography and like just, the things that actually fill us up and like satisfy us instead of the things that hurt us. Like so many of us are stuck in the cycle of I am spending the time that I would nourish myself or rest or do something that is satisfying to me. Instead, I'm hurting myself. I'm hurting my health. I'm punishing myself. I'm doing things that like physically and emotionally hurt me. Like that becomes our hobby. Like that becomes the thing that we fill all of our spare time with. And when you start getting that back for you, amazing things happen in the world because we have a purpose. Like there's a reason that we are here. You were not born by accident. You have a purpose on the planet. And I know that is something that is so painful for a lot of women that we talk to is they, for their entire lives, have never gotten to know who they really are because their eating disorder has controlled all their decisions. They have never been able to pursue their purpose or their calling in this earth because they have wasted so many of their years have been wasted by their eating disorder. And now they're in the second half of their lives or the last few decades of their lives. And it's like so much time has already gone toward the eating disorder. And now the question is, wow, am I going to die like this? Instead of like, oh, wow, how do I fix this so I really can start living? Like our questions start changing. And to see that turn around and to see somebody really live their purpose is just such a cool thing. We've had a lot of people who have lost their jobs in our community because like it's COVID, right? So it's like so many people have lost their jobs and now they're home and they're isolated and they're binging more than ever. And I just really want to congratulate you guys on listening to the wisdom and the gift from this time in the world, because this is what we hear over and over. I've lost my job. I'm binging more than ever. And I finally see what's really important. And I've got to fix this right now. So we're finally ready to fix it. And the sad thing is that for a lot of us, we won't fix something until we're completely up against the wall and there are no other options. And we've tried all of the Band-Aid things and we've seen that nothing has worked and we see it all getting worse. And it's either like a physical or emotional breakdown that we're facing. And then we finally fix it. But really the gift of this time in the world is it has gotten so many people to that place where they're just like, wow, I've got to fix this now. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life and have my legacy be, yeah, my kids found me dead in the bathroom because I purged and I didn't tell anyone that I was going to stop my heart with purging. And that was my legacy of the woman who her kids found her dead in the bathroom from her bulimia and she couldn't even have a proper funeral because it's the pandemic time. Like that is not the legacy that people want to leave behind. That is not the legacy that you want to leave behind. And so that's why we've had so many people coming to us because they're just like, I can see now what life is really all about and I want to be done and I want to be free from this. And it's such a really beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh, let's call our next client Elle. Yeah, Elle. Oh man, she's really cool. She's a health coach. She has been just taking care of so many people. She has like a family and she's an example to everyone. And she just has this thing with food that for the longest time, like she did not call it an eating disorder. Like she's had an eating disorder for a really, really long time, but she just never called that. She's like, oh, well, I just need to diet better. I just need to like, use the principles that I teach, people better, or she just kept on like really softening what was happening. And then she just got real about it. She just got real about it. Like, I have to fix this and I have to be done. And it was such a, just an amazing series of events because she drew that line in the sand and she just said, like, I have to fix this now. Like, I refuse to live this way anymore. And after just a couple of weeks, she was just like, wow, like, this has changed everything. This has changed everything. And just like all of our clients, she didn't do everything perfectly, right? Like, it's not about perfection. Like, the principles we teach are so powerful that, like, you can even do just some of them and it makes a huge, huge difference. And she actually had one of her parents in the hospital during the time that we were coaching her. And so she was doing these long commutes back and forth to the hospital, which is an especially, stressful place to be during this time. And she's just like, she came home one day and she's just like, man, like, I'm just going to binge. I'm just going to have ice cream. Like, and she'd had so much success and like hadn't been binging and like more success than ever in life. And she got out the ice cream and she's just like, but why? This isn't going to help anything. She just like put the ice cream back. Like, in tragedy and hardship and worry and the times that we would have been completely, our brain hijacked and out of control, even in those times, it just doesn't make sense to binge anymore. So she just put it away and moved on with her day and kept celebrating. Oh man. Oh, Jay. Let's talk about Jay. Oh, I love Jay. So Jay had been struggling for over 40 years with her eating disorder. And, she came to us and she's just somebody that everyone sees as just perfect, right? She's perfect. She's all put together. She's organized. She, has such a great life. And the fact is that everyone saw someone that wasn't really her. Like, she had never been seen for her authentic self because her eating disorder had kept her from ever being her authentic self. And as she graduated after 8 weeks into our program, she was just in tears of gratitude because she was finally able to be authentic and to be seen, to be honest and open with her family that had never known that she had struggled for this entire time, for people even that they didn't know the struggle she had been through and what she had gotten out of, for her friends to be able to see her and be like, wow, like, you're so happy, like, you're glowing, like, what changed, like, what's different? Because she was finally able to experience true happiness for maybe the first time in her life because she was free of this thing that had stolen her joy for so many years. And it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. And that's a handful of our celebrations, you guys. It's like I could go on and on and on for hours. Like, we have an amazing community. Oh, Marianne. Yes. Oh, okay. So Marianne is chatting here. She says, a really big deal for me is to feel free enough to pursue finding out what is important. My mind is now always thinking, or now, oh, my mind is not always thinking and worrying about food. Yes, that's it, you guys. That is it. Oh, Marianne, thank you for sharing and celebrating, and we are loving and celebrating you. Yeah, you guys, like, you get to find out what you like. You get to find out what's important. You get to find out who you are. And I know, and it's so funny because if you were free and if you were on the other side of it, you would know how ridiculous this is. But I totally understand that it's a fear before you're free, right? Because it's part of your eating disorder. Like, this is like directly from your eating disorder to you. This is what it sounds like. Oh no, but what would you do with all that free time? Oh no, what if you find out who you truly are and you don't like that person? Oh no, what if you have to change everything in your life and you don't want to? Oh no, what are you going to have to do once you're free? You guys, we've never, with the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that we've helped, we have never seen anybody free and on the other side of this ever once say, wow, I really liked my eating disorder self and my life more. Oh, wow, I want to go back to that. That was way more awesome. Life was great with my eating disorder. Cool that I know how to be free now, but totally not worth it. I just want to go back and have an eating disorder. It just doesn't happen because you'll always like your real self more. You will always like your real self more. Like that's just the way that it is. And getting to find out who you are and what you like is such a wonderful thing. And here's another myth that I just want to bust right here is you do not need your eating disorder. I'll say it again. You do not need your eating disorder. So many of us have this lie in our minds, and I'm so sorry if you've been told by an authority figure that this is the case. It's just not. You do not need your eating disorder. There's this idea of like, oh, well, your eating disorder is what numbs your emotions, and you can't handle your emotions, and you don't have another way to numb, so you have to keep on hurting yourself with food. Oh, well, your eating disorder allows you to have some pleasure in your life and happiness, and you wouldn't have any pleasure or happiness if you didn't have your eating disorder anymore. You do not need your eating disorder. And we've had so many people come through our program that have been told by some authority figure of like, oh, your eating disorder is your coping mechanism. And until you have new coping mechanisms, then you won't be able to handle your life or your emotions. So what? You should just keep on having an eating disorder? It's the most ridiculous thing. And what happens is that we prove that wrong over and over and over. I'm not saying this because it like sounds nice that you're more powerful than you thought. Like it's just the case. We've had so many people that have been like, oh, well, I don't have new coping mechanisms, so I probably won't be able to handle my emotions without my eating disorder. And then they come to us and they don't have an eating disorder anymore. And they're not binging anymore. And they're not purging anymore. They're not overeating anymore. They're not numbing anymore. And guess what? They're fine. Because you know what they were numbing and what made their life so hard? Their eating disorder. If you think you have problems, just add on an eating disorder, and then you have twice as many problems. So if you've had a really hard day, or if you've got a horrible relationship, or if you've got this awful trauma in your life, I guarantee it is always easier to deal with that and live those emotions than to deal with all of those emotions still, numb them out for a minute with food, and then have all of those emotions crashing down on you, plus all the guilt and shame of your eating disorder. I guarantee you that when you fix one of the biggest problems in your life, it gets easier to deal with the rest of the problems because you have fewer problems. That's just how it goes, you guys. I've never seen anyone be like, oh, my goodness, things are so much harder now that I don't have an eating disorder. Now that I have my energy and my time and my money and my brain back. Now that I have my health back. It's just so difficult to deal with the stress of work. I think I'll go and add on a whole bunch of other stress and a whole bunch of other problems and do something that could kill me. That'll make it better. It's just not the way that it is. When you end your eating disorder, everything else gets easier, including emotionally, including physically, and you don't have to do anything. There's no have to about your life when you're free from your eating disorder. You can just simply be free. So I just wanted to pop in and celebrate with you guys today. Like, again, I go on for, oh man. Okay, I could keep going on forever and ever and ever. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain of the sort of just joys that we get to celebrate every single day, and love that you guys are part of this community. And if you want that for yourself, if you want to be able to know what life is like, being able to feel joy and be yourself and be done with your eating disorder and know what it's like to actually be healthy, not to be fake pretend healthy for a minute until you go into like binging again, like to actually truly be a healthy person and a sane and stable emotionally person, like it's really great. It really is. And if you have that desire and that commitment for yourself, then we offer a free service called a breakthrough session. You can pop over to lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And what you can do is you can book a free breakthrough session, and we are actually going to work with you one-on-one to get the foundation of freedom for you. And then if we can get you to the other side of this and show you how to be free for the rest of your life from this problem, we'll show you how. If not, then we'll know where to best direct you. But either way, you're going to have that foundation of freedom, which is always the first step of getting to the other side of this. And again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. It's so fun to see you guys here. Much, much love, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Mwah.